You gotta start trading time for money. You gotta start learning how to make your money work for you. You gotta learn how to give value to people. I didn't learn that message, the value part, I didn't learn that till I started my business. And I was like, man, I had never heard nothing like that. Was like,
I think you gotta have a dream.
The School of Greatness.
Really?
Yeah.
Please welcome Lewis House.
When did you realize that you were going to start learning about financial literacy, and then what did it look like when you got out?
Oh man, so, born and raised in New Orleans, first and foremost, and New Orleans has always been a city that I feel is full of culture, right? And on the front side, people know it for food and
Music,
the good times. But there's a part of New Orleans that also is on the other side that gets a lot of light, which is it being a murder capital, high crime, right? A lot of poor, a lot of underdeveloped people, financially, just in so many different ways. And so I grew up in that. Saw my moms get shot when I was 9 years old.
Saw her get shot.
I saw her get shot when I was like 9.
Wow.
Maybe like 100 yards away from me.
Wow.
So immediately I had a connection and understanding of violence, right? So at 9 years old, kind of like when I got older, like I now think about how that played in my brain over and over and over again. And so,
when a kid sees violence at an early age in the family, what does that do to the kid? Does it normalize it? Does it make them want to be more violent, be less violent, and run away from it? What happens?
So what it did for me was it did two things. One, it made me realize that violence in my environment was a necessary evil.
To do what? Protect yourself.
If anything happened, violence was now the first result. No matter what that violence looked like, whether it was fighting, whether it was shooting, whether it was like, okay, if someone can shoot my mother,
wow,
then they can shoot me. So now I'm automatically in protect mode. Okay, cool, this is what it is. But also it becomes a tool for regulation. Like you start understand like, okay, like violence is what gives me respect. Violence is what keeps me from being a prey. Right? And so you just start to normalize it. It's like I said this to somebody before. I said, if you come to New Orleans and you're in a park and a gun goes off, if there's a bunch of kids in the park, I can almost guarantee you they won't run. They know the protocol. They know to get down, look both ways, see where the gunshot's coming from, and then go the opposite way. That is normalized. That's trauma. No kid should understand the protocol to what to do with
for a
violence.
gunshot.
Yeah. But it's like understood. Like I even knew it at a young age. I would be inside. Gunshots ring. The first thing we do, we get under the bed.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is understood. So
it's like in school they teach you like when
stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah. It's like when there's a tornado warning, a siren. It's like here's what to do.
This is what you do. So it's like a survival handbook, but in real time. And you also see that no age limit is off limits to getting killed.
Wow. Because young kids are getting shot up.
Yeah, like it's happening. So you start to understand like, okay, this is my environment. Me seeing guns, me seeing drugs, prostitution. All right, cool. This doesn't scare me no more. I get it. All right, cool. So now I have to now walk around and understand how that feels. I have to walk around knowing if I don't do the right things, that could be me at a young age, right? So
you had to educate yourself on violence and protecting yourself and being aware of what to do and how to get out of situations and how to defend yourself.
Conflict resolution, like all of those things are apparent at a young age. Even when it comes down to even just like bare fist fights, like you understand that if I don't handle this situation right here, right now, then it's certain things in this neighborhood I will not be able to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I will not be able to go to this store if I let him or whoever they are, take this $1 from me, 50 cents from me.
Well, I want you to be able to go to the store.
Because now every time they see you,
they take more.
They're just gonna take more.
Yeah, unless you defend yourself.
And it's either gonna be, man, it ain't even worth my time going over there messing with him, man.
Right.
Let's go get something. Yeah, I don't got time to hear that. He gonna beat one of us up. Let me go over there. Yeah, right. So it's like
it's like the bully in school. It's like the bully keeps beating you up until you stand up to the bully.
Yep. And then the thing about the bully is the bully never really wants a tough fight.
No.
why would I do something tough when I could go where it's easier? Right? So you just start to understand those things. You like, you know what? And then you start hearing things in the street, like your people tell you stuff like, if let's say you go home, you my uncle, you send me to the store, and I come back and be like, oh man, such and such them took it from me. Well, don't come back in here until you either come back with what I gave you or you come in here bloody.
Right. Prove me.
Right? Show me that somebody, and now we gonna go out there and take care of that. So now like those are the realities at a young age, and it doesn't say, okay, you're too young for this. Nah, it's whenever it happens, you gotta be able, and so now you develop that mindset, that mentality from a little bitty to adulthood. And what happens is now you see it so much, it becomes you. I know how to handle this situation right here, out the gate, boom, boom, boom. And then you now teach that trauma.
Yeah.
Right?
You replay it.
So 16, maybe like 14, I was homeless. So I lived with my grandmother. My grandmother passed away. And I was homeless, like literally homeless. Cause it wasn't that my family didn't want nothing to do with me, but everybody has their issues. Nobody wants to take on another burden. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is. So I dealt with that for a minute, just being homeless. And then I moved with my aunt who was on drugs. And I started hustling out her house, for survival purposes. You know what I'm saying? Just being able to survive. Just understanding, like, I learned this from my mom. So this is how I'm going to eat. Right? So school becomes second nature. Survival becomes present. This is what has to happen. So at 16, I go to prison for attempt murder. I got robbed out of some drugs and some guns, some money. And in the streets, it goes back to that same mentality where if I let you get away with this, then I can't hustle no more.
Then you're going to do this again to me over and over again.
And not only are you going to do it, but
someone else,
everybody else, I'm fair game.
They'll hear that you gave in.
I'm fair game. And then in the streets, there's this code of, there's a difference between robbing me and jacking me.
What's the difference?
So if I jack you, it's, yo, give me this.
Right.
What you gonna do about it?
Right.
Right? Whether it's a gun or not.
It's mine now,
what you gonna do about it? Robbing you is if I have a mask on. I don't really know who you are. Right? So robbing you, you kind of can like, all right, I gotta find out. But jacking me, it's a bold statement. It's like, whatever. And so that has to be met with some type of consequences. You know what I'm saying? And not always saying it's right, but in the jungle.
To survive.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you gotta move.
You gotta
move to another city.
And this ain't what we doing.
Yeah.
And then nobody, and you don't have time to do all that.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I'm at.
Trying to get to the store.
So I went to prison for shooting him, and I got 10 years for attempt murder on robbery. And that's kind of when, I'm not gonna say life changed. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm in prison. Like,
because your mom was there for a number of years.
My mom was in prison, yep.
And you would visit her, so you kind of knew that this is an environment that I could potentially be in one day.
Yeah, that's kind of understood already.
Yeah.
Like, you already understand that at some point on your journey, you're going to prison. Like, that's it. Like, you're going to prison. You're going to, at some point, use a gun on several different occasions.
Wow.
Right? Like this understood already. And I know it'd be kind of hard for a lot of people to understand that, because if you've never been introduced to that, you'll never, like if you've never seen a lion hunt, then when he eat the gazelle, you're like, that's so ferocious, but you don't understand the rules of the jungle. You don't understand the rules of the safari, right? So it may seem grotesque, but in the safari, we know that's the ecosystem. Right, so in the streets, that's just like part of the ecosystem. Like, all
that's
right,
the environment.
Yeah, it has to happen.
What was that like when you knew that you were sentenced to 10 years at 16? Were you like, was it devastating? Is it kind of like, this is my badge of honor? Is it kind of like, man, I was only hoping for a year or two, not 10? So
I remember my great aunt came to court for me because they wanted to give me 35 years.
Jeez.
Because the dude, he wasn't, again, it was a attempt murder, so he wasn't dead. And my aunt, she knew the judge.
Wow.
And she kind of like just told him my story. She's like, look, he just been going through a lot. His mom's in prison. My sister passed away, which was my grandmother's sister. He just been out here. He's a better kid than that. He just, so he actually gave me, he came to me and he said, you have no other option than to take these 10 years. I'm not asking you, do you want to take them?
You're going to take
You're
them.
going to take these 10 years, right? And the DA was like upset about that, right? Because here's an opportunity to take, again, you know, and I'm not saying he's mad, but here's an opportunity to take somebody off the streets in a city that's plagued with crime for shooting somebody. Like, he has to go. So in my mind, I was just like, because I had saw it so much, I was kind of numb to it. You know, it was like, all right, how much they gonna give me? Right? And I kind of, to be honest with you, the 10, I was like, all right, cool, this is a cakewalk.
Wow.
You know, think about it. 16, 10 years, I'm already like, okay, 25, 26, I'll be home. That's cool.
Wow.
But let me tell you something that's crazy. Let me tell you something that's absurd. In prison, you will hear people say, well, I could do another 5, 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was that person. At about age 19, I was like, yeah, I still got another 10. I could do another 10-year bid.
Well, why though? Why?
Because you don't see no other way.
Right.
Right? Like,
You kind of have to mentally put yourself there,
Yeah.
otherwise you go crazy, I guess.
you kind of feel like, one of the things that you don't see a lot in those communities, you got to remember, we financially and they just underdeveloped.
Yeah. Education,
Yeah,
financial.
education, financial literacy. We underdeveloped coming up in that. Everybody you see is in survival mode. Nobody is thriving but the drug dealers, the rappers, and the people that play sports.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Maybe a couple of musicians. Yeah,
And
rappers.
if you can't play sports, or if you can't make it rapping, then all the power is now in the drug dealers or in the criminals, right? You see them living the life they want. And everybody that you see going to work, they barely making it, right? You know people with 2 jobs. You know people with 3 jobs. And all you see them doing is coming home whipped. They still struggling. So you like, I'm not about to do that. If I'm gonna live a life, at least let me have some fun. At least let me do some of the things I want to do. And so in your mind, you're like, if this is the alternative, well, hell with it, this what it is, right? And so you just accept it. And so when you accept that life, you know what come with it, right? And so you mentally prepare yourself like, all right, well, you ain't here for murder, you ain't here for attempt murder, you ain't here for armed robbery, you ain't here for selling drugs. Man, like, well, you messed up at? What you did wrong? So now y'all start swapping stories. You know, he telling you what he messed up at, he telling you what he did wrong. You like, okay, well, I can get better. If I just don't make this mistake, then don't do this. So you learning real time from somebody who may have 99 years, 240 years, life, the death penalty. Like you may be learning from them.
What not to do when you get
What
out.
not to do, where they messed up at. And remember, experience is the best teacher in anywhere in life, right? What mistakes did you make? Okay, cool, that's what you did wrong? Got you. I'm gonna take mental note of that. And you gotta think, over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, you sleep on side of somebody, you learning the game. And in your mind, you just like, I'm about to go home and be better at this than what I was before.
Wow.
So you accept the idea of, all right, cool, I could do another 10 years.
Sure.
I did this 10, I could do another 10. It's in me.
What's safer for you? What was safer, the streets or prison?
So honestly, prison saved me.
Saved you.
Prison saved my life.
Was it safer? So I heard some stories from.
It's not really.
I heard some
I've been
stories.
stabbed.
Yeah.
I got a stab wound right here. I think it's on this arm. Yep, I got stabbed right here. I got stabbed in my back in prison. I think they both have, their shortcomings, because the thing about prison is you boxed in. So you can't run. You can't run
escape.
from that. You can't escape from that. And when you're in home, you can move around. You can do some things. There's advantages and disadvantages to both. For me, I know prison saved my life, because right before that situation, I had got into it with somebody. I was almost kidnapped. Like, I was literally almost inside of the trunk, and I barely got out of that, the skin of my teeth. Wow. And I literally came to prison. I really went to jail like 3 weeks later. You know what I'm saying?
Which probably would eventually happen.
Which was going to, so that charge that I went to prison for either saved me from going to prison for something more serious or getting killed.
Yeah.
Right? And that's kind of always, that's always prison is always the lesser of two evils that you're willing to accept. Right? Because you're like, at least I ain't gone.
Yeah.
And you just start to accept it. And
when was the moment then during prison where you learned about making money?
so I had got into a fight with two of my homeboys.
Is this like a verbal fight, a physical fight?
No, physical fight. Yeah. So I got in a physical fight with two of my homeboys, and I go to solitary confinement. And
How long? A week, 2 weeks?
Nah,
a day?
so I got sentenced to 90 days
Ooh, man,
in
that's
solitary
no fun.
confinement.
That's not fun.
So it's crazy because this is where I feel like I have this thing that I say that like, if you take a picture and you put it in a darkness, this is where it develops at. Right? And the darkness is where it develops. You don't want to expose it too early because it'll mess up. But in the darkness is where it develops, and when it's time, when you know just right, it can be one of the most beautiful pictures you've ever seen if you let it develop in the right time. Prison was my development stage. So I get in a cell with this white guy. I'm in a 4-man cell, and it's just me and him.
Bunk bed.
Yep, 2 on each side.
A little 2-foot walkway,
small.
one little bathroom. Yeah, I've been in
It's
these.
small.
Yeah.
For 45 days, me and him were just in the cell. No one else came in the cell, which is...
This is for solitary confinement?
Yeah.
So shared confinement.
Yep. So it's 13 cells on each side, 4 people in each cell.
An hour a day out?
Hour in a day out. Now, so we didn't even get an hour. We got 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Take a shower together, come back in the cell.
Man.
And for those 45 days, we did a lot of talking.
Oh, man.
My first day in the cell, though, like, I wanted to beat him up. Because I come into the cell, and the first thing he told me was, man, y'all playing the wrong game. I looked at him, I just had a fight with two of my homies. My blood still high.
Don't tell me what to do.
I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, nah, like, I don't mean no disrespect. And it's something about his tone that made me just like listen to him. I don't know what it was. I can't even describe it.
How old are you at this point?
I'm 17.
Oh, wow. 1 year in.
I'm still a hothead. Yeah, I'm still a hothead.
Egomaniac.
Yeah. What you talking about?
Yeah.
So he was like, I think for him, that was the first time he had seen that many black men in one spot. Because he had this look of like confusion. Like he was confused. And he was like, man, y'all playing the wrong game, bro. And I was like, well, if you playing the right game, why you in here with me?
Right.
Like,
Why are you in here?
What you talking about? He was like, what are you in here for? And so one of the things about in prison, like you don't just tell people what you're in prison for unless you're in there for something serious, because then you wear.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm in here for a temporary robbery.
This is my badge
You know
of
what I'm
honor.
saying? Yeah, like I'm in, like, don't play with me. I'm like, so what you in here for? So he was in there for embezzlement. He embezzled $2.8 million. He kept $2 million, he paid $800,000 restitution. And I was like, man, you lying. And so one thing about prison is you can always show somebody your paperwork of what you in there for. And so when I saw it in black and white, it was a different level of respect for me. Because I never saw $2 million on a piece of paper before. And so he said, this is why I'm telling you playing the wrong game. He was like, how much time you got? I was like, I got 10 years. He was like, have you ever seen $1 million before? He was like, you'll never see it playing that game.
Playing what game?
The streets, the drug, it's the game. He's like, you'll never see it playing that game. And I kind of just like took that in for a second because up until that point in my life, I never met a successful drug dealer.
Right. You mean maybe they're for a year or two, but you always get caught.
You get caught.
You get shot. You get something. He gets still robbed.
Everything. Yeah, so I was just like, that was like one of those moments that like humbled me. So he said, listen, you got to do these 3 things. You got to start trading time for money. You got to start learning how to make your money work for you. You got to learn how to give value to people. I didn't learn that message. The value part, I didn't learn that till I started my business. And I was like, man, I had never heard nothing like that. Was like scripture to me hearing that, right?
What was 3 again?
It was, you got to learn how to make your money work for you. Stop trading time for money and give value to people.
Yeah.
And so he kind of just, I'm not even gonna lie, like the way he said it with so much conviction, it kind of like mesmerized me, like it caught me off guard because I had never heard nothing like that before. And so he just started explaining to me about how wealthy people use money and how the streets is a game that we can never win. We were only pawns in the game.
The house always wins.
Yeah. And I was just like, damn. So he just started me realizing that. And so I think in that moment, I just started looking at everybody from my mama. I was like, damn, I don't know nobody that won. Everybody had moments, but nobody really won.
Yeah.
And so maybe before he left, he told me, you need to learn how to do these 3 things. You need to learn how to, wealthy people invest in stocks, they invest in start a business, and then they invest in real estate. And because he said stocks first, in my mind, I wanted to do whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
And so had he would have said real estate first, I would probably be the real estate trapper.
Yeah.
But because he started with that, it stuck with me. So when he went upstate, he went to the federal prison.
How long was he in for?
So he did 18 months.
Right.
He was in federal. And that was another thing that caught me off guard. I was like, $2.8 million. I don't think you about to tell me you had 30 years, 40 years. He had 18 months. And he shined light on something for me. He said, even if I was to come back, the most they could give me is 36 months this time. So even if he went home, kept the $2 million, paid $800 in restitution, so he did 18 months, kept $2 million. If he went home and did the same thing again, the most they can give him was 36 months based on those federal guidelines.
Right.
He still would have done less time than me, had more money than me.
Right.
That just blew me away.
He was still doing something illegal.
He was doing it illegal,
Right.
but it's just like it was a different level.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I was just like, I'm playing the wrong game.
He's like, you're risking your life for 30 years
Yeah,
of prison
what you doing?
where I'm risking 18 months.
You're tripping. Yeah, you're on the wrong level. So that's just kind of like, that was my moment. And so I remember getting shipped upstate to prison. So now I'm in the penitentiary.
At 18, you're going to...
I'm in prison. So I went from the Orleans Parish prison to like Louisiana State prison, like prison, maximum security. And I remember stocks. So I remember the first book I read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
I remember reading that, and I remember just being like blown away at the idea of what financial literacy was. And I remember thinking like, why nobody never teach me this? And so then I remember starting to look at CNBC.
In prison?
Yeah. So prison is an odd place.
You got a little TV in the cell.
Nah. So we got a day room.
Yeah.
So the day room there has probably like a 30-inch TV in there. So sports is number 1.
Right, of course. Movies, right, yeah.
The news is the news, sports, The Young and the Restless, right? Victor Newman, they like grown men love to watch Victor Newman, right? So I could watch CNBC. And I remember watching like Jim Cramer. I was like, yo, this dude is crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember just telling myself, I don't see no black people up here. It's a lot of rich white dudes. And they not risking their life. Right. And they was talking about numbers I had never heard of before.
Yeah.
Numbers I knew I could never make selling dope. Numbers I knew I could never make robbing nobody. And I was just like, yeah, I'm playing the wrong game. So I remember reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then I remember reading about a guy named Reginald Lewis. And I was like, okay. Because his book was Why the White Guys Have All the Fun. He built $1 billion empire off private equity. And I was like, oh, I could play this game. And so I would watch CNBC and I couldn't get it because I couldn't understand it. They were speaking in a language that was just, I was like, I ain't never heard that before. And I never forget, they was talking about tariffs and what they are. And tariffs were simply taxes that people pay for other countries pay for coming, hustle in the United States. And in my mind, I said, oh, that's the equivalent to paying draft. So a draft is like, let's say you live in one hood, I live in one hood, you want to come hustle over here. I said, Louis, you got to pay me some money to come over here. That's a tariff.
I'll leave you alone as long as you pay me.
As long as you pay me. I was like, oh, this reminds me of the streets. And then a friend of mine named Chris Kellogg, he used to get the USA Today. And so when I was in prison, I used to run numbers. I was a bookie. And I remember him telling me, You always get the sports section. Why you never get the business section? You always looking at CNBC. I was like, man, nobody ain't looking at those business section. He said, well, you looking at stocks. This is the part you need to be looking at. I was like, yeah. So I remember I started reading that from him. So every time he would get the USA Today, I would pay him to give me just the business section. And I would just read it. And then like it just started clicking to me. It reminded me literally of the streets. Like in order for a company to be great on the stock market, they have to have a good product. In order for a business to be, in order for me a good hustler, I gotta have a good product. In order for the company to have they gotta have great revenues, they gotta have a great profit. In the streets, if I can be a great hustler, I have to know how to turn my revenues into profit. I gotta have more than re-up money. It has to be money that I can re-up with and then go get some more and pay my bills. Yeah. You have to learn that. And on the stock market, if a company has a good moat, a competitive advantage, they can beat off their defenders. Well, if I'm a hustler, if I got a good product, if I got a good price, I got good packaging, if I'm always out there, if I'm always available, I got a moat.
You're like 7-Eleven, baby.
It's popping.
You're always open.
I'm open. You know what I'm saying? And so I was like, yo, this remind me of the streets. It's no different. And so once I was able to make that connection, in my mind, I said, I could be the next Warren Buffett.
Wow.
Like, I could be the next Warren Buffett.
So were you teaching yourself and reading books then for the most of those years, or did you have someone else in there teaching you? Was it all self-taught?
Everything was self-taught in prison. Kind of like nobody was really on it. Like everybody was like on sports. Real estate was the thing. Like everybody in prison wants to come home and get into real estate.
Really?
Everybody wants, and that was one of the things that Robert Kiyosaki talks about. Real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate, real estate. So, you know, that's kind of like the thing. Like I'm gonna come home, I'm getting into real estate. And in prison, I learned about real estate investment trust, which is REITs. I was like, so I can own the real estate without even, you know what I'm saying, managing the property and none of that. Oh, this is love. So everything was me just learning. So studying Monesh Pabrai, studying Warren Buffett, studying Bill Ackman, studying just so many different people, Peter Lynch, just studying them, understanding them, Joel Greenblatt, just studying them, listening to them, like getting my people, man, send me some books, getting somebody I know, like, yo, man, tell your people, send me these books, I'm gonna pay you for it from the commissary. And so I would just read. I ain't had nothing else to do. I would go to work, come back to my dorm, read. Just read, and then I would get consumed in it because immediately I saw that there were two different Americas. There was the America that I knew, and that everybody around me had the same problem. There was a particular thread that ran through every hood across America. Every hood that I went to was always the same. And then we always look at another part of America and we be like, yo, how do they get that? And I was like, the reason why in my mind was because they have access to a different type of information.
So is it information or is it an environment?
So it's a combination of both, right? So people like to talk about racism a lot. And while it does exist, I think classism is a completely different animal. It's
what does
a big
that mean?
animal. So classism is there's a group of people, no matter your color, that has a different information, pedigree, status, and access that other people don't have.
Doesn't matter what race or religion or where you're
Doesn't
from.
matter.
So how do people get into that class, even if they don't fit the majority of the class, look like the majority or come from the majority of that class?
So
where it could look like racism.
yes. So and that's the thing, like, even though racism exists, but it exists on a bigger picture at a smaller scale. So this is my introduction to it, is understanding that classism says, this is how our family is set up. Look, I'm gonna use you for example. Your father says, listen, you need to learn how to invest. You need to learn how to start a business, but also I want you to meet so-and-so's son. I want you to meet so-and-so's brother. I want you to meet so-and-so's daughter. I want you to go to this school. I want you to go to this party with me. And so information gets passed down, life insurance get passed down, wills, trusts get passed down. Those type of things help you get access to rooms that me or these people over here
Don't have
will
access to.
never see.
I want to be in the room where that is.
You feel me? And so I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. The information is what changes everything.
Right.
And so I had this saying, education and information changes the conversation. If you change the conversation, you can change the compensation. If you can change the compensation, you can change the realization. You feel what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's because if I can get access to information, just something simple as investing. When I started teaching my homies about investing, I was like, yo, in order to be wealthy, you gotta own something. You cannot create wealth if you don't own nothing. If you don't own nothing, you're just a consumer. And if you don't own nothing and you're a consumer and you don't teach your kids how to own nothing, then now you've let them inherit it being a consumer.
Yeah. They have the same education, information,
doesn't change.
and repetition that you created. They're going to repeat what they see.
it.
Yeah.
And if nobody breaks it, nobody's a disruptor, right? No one becomes a disruptor. So now it's, well, I've never seen wealth, so I probably can't be wealthy. Let me just live my life like whatever. Let me live my life for me. Let me just keep buying things, right? Let me work hard every day, and the little time I do get some free cash, because I work so hard for it, I need some type of self-gratification. I need some type of reprieve from this. I don't care if I can't afford it. Sacrifice, what am I sacrifice for? It's hard paying these bills. No, I'm not about to do that. And so now Christmas becomes the day where we go broke buying liabilities,
Yeah.
right? We have more month left than money all the time, right? We are financially deprived because we have no relationship with money. Whereas this other class says, listen, assets are the blood, are the oxygen to this, right? Let me teach you about taxes. Let me teach you the importance of life insurance. Let me teach you the importance of this, right? Let me teach you the importance of, you may not like this person. Check this out. You may not like this person, but just because you don't like them don't mean you can't do business with them, right? Because they have access to such and such that you don't. So, well, over here is, if you don't like them, kill them. You don't like them, let them know you don't like them.
Right.
Let them know there's animosity right there. Because I wanted to, the way that the world is viewed is two completely different ways. You feel me? And so because of that, this set of people, until they get exposed to it, until this class of people gets exposure, everyone will repeat that cycle.
Yeah.
Whereas this class of people, if you do anything less than what we've done already, like, what is your problem? You know what I'm saying? Why won't you be great?
Yeah.
Right? And so once I understood that, I was like, I get it.
Right.
This is the game changer.
So when you knew you had a year left in prison, did you have a game plan? Was there a mindset of like, okay, I've been studying for 8 years plus years, 9 years, and here's my next 3 moves? Or were you like, obviously if you don't have money, you got to work a job for a certain period so you can invest to own something, whether it be stocks, your own house, or real estate, or equity in something. You've got to make money to be invested, or you could borrow it from someone and invest it, but then you got to pay something off. So what were the next 3 moves after you got out of jail?
So the idea was to come home, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, yo, I could be Warren Buffett.
Right away, like
I was
2
like, yo, I
years.
could be Warren Buffett. Because when you're in prison, like, you paint this picture. And you never know who you really are until you jump in the water. Right? Because you got to remember, I went to jail at 16. I come home, I'm 26. I'm a completely different man. At this point, the majority of my life has been in prison.
Yeah.
My developmental years, I've been in prison. So my mind was like, all right, cool. I went to the halfway house, which was, when you work
6 months to a year?
Yeah,
I
I had 6 months. So I remember I came home with like $4,500, and I bought me a Grand Prix.
After you got out of the 6 months, you came home with $4,500.
I came home with $4,500, and I said, the first thing I gotta do is I gotta give me a car. I don't even know how to drive. Like, I gotta give me a car. So I remember my cousin, who was a preacher at the time, he came, got me, and I told him he had an avalanche. And he was like, man, drive. I was like, man, I don't know how. He said, if you don't learn now, you ain't gonna never learn. So I tried the avalanche, and then the next day, he took me to, 2 days later, he took me to the license place. So I get my license.
Wow.
The lady tells me, she was like, you don't know how to drive. But I've been going for 10 years. She was like, let me get you a license.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's not good. Wow.
She said, get your license,
scary.
man. She said, you deserve it.
Wow.
I said, yeah, man. And so I remember going to buy my car, and I was broke. By the time I bought the car, and
then you're broke now.
I'm broke.
You already bought something that's a
I bought the
liability.
car.
It's not an asset. You're already losing your money.
I'm done. I'm like, all right, cool. But I'm like, I could get around. I don't got to ask nobody that.
You got some access. You got some flexibility. You got
I could get around. And so I remember I got into school. I was in Baton Rouge. So I learned how to weld. Like, all right, I'm going to take this welding trade up. So I took that for 6 weeks, took fast track welding. So I got certified at that. I came home and I was an iron worker. So I started building schools, plants, and power plants. Schools, power plants, prisons. I was doing all of that. And I was like, man, I'm going to start hustling, man.
Going back. It's too hard. This work is not worth it.
This is not it.
You're like, I'm not going to do this for 10 hours a day.
I'm not going to do this. I'm not about to do this.
For $10 an hour or whatever.
That's what I was making at the time. I was like, man, I'm not about to do this, man. This is not going to get me to Warren Buffett fast enough.
Right.
So I get back in the streets.
No way.
Got back in the streets.
Come on.
Got back in the streets, man.
Man, even after all that education and all that information and knowing it's the wrong thing and knowing that he can get you right back in there.
Mike Tyson said something that's amazing, man. He says, everybody got a plan till they get punched in the face.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? I got punched in the face. I was like, man, again, I'm influenced because I come home.
Your environment is that
I
stuff.
see it. I see the cars. I'm broke. I'm like, man, this ain't it. I'm going to work every day and I'm just looking like, man, this ain't gonna get it. So I remember taking my check. It's like $600. I got me a pound of weed. I said, we on.
Oh man, you start splitting this up and packing it and dealing it.
I start selling weed. I'm selling weed to the people at work. I'm selling weed to the people at home. So I said, all right, I'm gonna be smart. I'm not gonna hustle all day. I'm gonna sell weed at work and at home.
Right.
So I'm doing that, and I'm making money. I started getting more weed. Like, that was my thing. So I started selling weed and X pills. Right. I was like, all right, cool. Like, this is it. So I would sell weed, and on the weekends when I was off, I would go to the clubs, sell X pills. I was like, all right, this is it. Like, I see my vision. And in my mind, I said, if I get $100,000, I'm gonna quit.
No. When are you ever gonna quit that? When are you gonna quit? No. Now when I get 300,000.
Yeah, it never happens. 2000. So I come home 2007. In 2009, me and one of my friends was in a car together. He had 3 strikes. The police pull us over. I had just served him a quarter pound of weed.
You just gave him.
Yeah.
So he had it on him.
He had it on him.
Oh.
Yeah. And so the police pull us over. He threw it.
Oh my gosh.
And the police don't find it.
Oh man.
But then something made them come back, and he finds it under the car.
Ooh.
So now, me being a friend, I know that my partner can't go to jail for another time. He gone. So I said, man, that's mine. So I was, it may sound stupid, but in my mind, it's like I was smart enough because I knew that I could only get probation because it was my first drug charge.
Right.
I already got a temper on robbery. One drug charge ain't gonna kill me, right? In my mind.
Hey, man.
So he like, man, thank you, bro. I'm like, man, it's all good. I ain't tripping. So about 2 months later.
Did you think to yourself, okay, now I need to stop this? Or were you like?
Nah, that's a little probation charge, man. That ain't nothing, man. That's probation. I just did 10 years.
Gosh.
That was probation.
Yeah.
I already know they can't give me number probation. I'm not even mad at that. So I remember like 3 months later, they kicked my door in.
Oh, no.
8 pounds of weed.
Oh, they found it.
$10,000.
Oh.
A 40 with extended clip on a beam, a 223, and 100 X pills. When the people kicked my door in, I remember The man looked at my TV and the stock market was on. And he said, you watching the stock market and this what you doing? And immediately in that moment, I said, I done effed up.
Oh, you said this out loud?
Yeah. Dope part about that was I was able to get found not guilty because they kicked my door in with no search warrant.
Right.
So it's called fruit of a poisonous tree.
Oh my gosh.
So I was able to get found not guilty on that. And the charge of my partner we did was called the Crosby plea, saying that I cobbed out only in my best interest. And then when it went to the full circuit court, they was able to throw it away. So I got away with a clean slate. Howard versus State of Louisiana. Anybody looking at that, go look that up.
So for how long was that process, that energy? Was it 3 months, 6 months?
Nah, that was, so I came home in 2007, that was 2009. From 2009 to 2012, I was fighting those charges.
Oh my gosh, it's a lot of energy.
It's a lot, and it broke me.
Yeah.
And I remember after that, I'm broke again.
Now you got court fees, you got lawyer fee, whatever it is.
I started robbing dope dealers.
Crazy, man.
So this is what I know.
2012, yeah.
2012, I started robbing dope dealers. So I'm like, all right, a friend of mine, he used to be with it. So we robbing. He like, bro, what we doing? I'm like, man, we robbing dope boys now.
Oh my gosh, man.
This is what we doing. We robbing dope boys. This is
You're not selling, you're robbing.
We just robbing now. What they can do. All they
Killing
can do.
me here.
Like, I was successful for a while. And then I almost got killed.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember we was doing a situation and I forgot something. And the dude put a 12 gauge in the back of my head. And he said, I ought to knock this shit off. And in my mind, I remember this time I'm about to go out. But my partner was there, God bless his soul. He said, bro, look, I can't stop you from killing my homie. But if you kill him, though, you're going to die right with him. The next best thing you can do is let him go, and I promise I'm going to let you go. God was with me.
Wow.
Dude, let me go. I remember us getting out of there, and I said, though, I'm finished. Like, I found out guilty twice, and this situation happened.
Yeah, you're like, I can't do it. I'm going to die in the next 3 years, or I'm back to jail for life.
Say I'm good. And I committed to it.
So, but then you go back to welding or something,
2014,
and you're like,
I start back doing ironwork heavy.
but you're making $11 an hour.
Now I'm doing good. So now I was still doing a little bit. So now I was building stadiums and power plants. So I'm making $2,500 a week now. So I had done build my craft up. I had done got good, and I was getting like $25, $32 an hour.
Okay, so you're building that up.
Yeah, I had to build that up. So now I was like, man, I quit.
You're making $25 an hour now.
Yeah. So now I'm bringing home $2,000 a week.
It's not bad.
Good working, man.
It's great money. It's good money, man.
I still had it.
You're making six figures.
Yeah, I was making like $100,000 a year.
That's not bad,
$120,000 a year.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's like a lot of money.
I was good, but like I'm a hustler. But it's just in me.
Yeah.
But I never went back to the streets. That's when I started taking this serious. 2014, I said, man, you playing the wrong game, bro. And I was still, the crazy part was, on the journey, I was still teaching my homies in the street about the stock market.
Oh my gosh.
I was literally telling them.
But you weren't doing it yourself.
Yeah, I was still investing.
Oh, you were doing it?
I was still investing.
Oh, wow.
This what made me take it serious. When they kicked my door in, they froze my bank account.
Oh, man.
They took my truck, but they didn't mess with my stocks.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, oh, they don't think we that smart. All right.
Let me show them.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I really just started telling my homies in the street, like, say, bro, like, this is where you should put your money at. Don't put your money in. No, put your money right here. And so they didn't get it.
Invest in something that can give value to people.
Invest in.
Yeah.
We wear Nikes all the time. We should own Nike.
You should own stock in Nike.
You should own stock in Nike. All of us got Apple, iPhones. This in the beginning. We should own iPhones.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, like we were Dickies and Timberlands. That's owned by a company called VFC Corp. We could own that. Like we wear Louis Vuitton, Moet. We drink Moet. We drink Hennessy. That's LVMH on the stock market. We wear Gucci. That's PPRUY on the stock market. We got AT&T. I'm like, bro, we can own this. Just be like, man, we go to the stock market crash. I'm like, if it crash, you just buy more.
Right.
And so then, like, some of them got them, some of it didn't. But then I had to switch it. I was like, well, what happens if you go to jail today or tomorrow? You come home with no money. You got money in the stock market. What happens? You don't owe nobody nothing. You come home with some money.
More money.
And so I started preaching it to my homies. And that's when financial literacy really changed my life. because at this point I was dedicated to like, I knew that the streets wasn't for me no more. Like I had already been through all the phases. I did the 10 years in prison. I got found not guilty. My life has been on the line several times.
True.
I'm still here. I was like, yo, like God got something different for me.
Wow.
Again, that's why I said I was developed in the darkness. It ain't nothing that nobody can say about the streets that I ain't never did. Nothing. So for me, it's like, from that, okay, I looked at myself like, I'm the person who can teach them, because just being real, if somebody go to them street dudes with a suit and tie, they're not gonna feel that. You ain't been through what I've been through. So now I wanted to represent something different. I wanted to represent Wall Street in a way that I'm gonna wear my hoodie, I'm gonna wear my team tops, I'm gonna wear my tennis shoes, but I got the same information. I can help you change your life. I can teach you the game that they playing. If you willing to learn it, it reminds you of the dope game. And so that's when my life shifted, when I started taking this serious, and I started saying, I'm gonna be the first person in my family to build wealth. I'm gonna be the first person in my family to have a trust. I'm gonna be the first person in my family to own land. I'm gonna be and I'm gonna teach a bunch of dope dealers how to do the same thing. But then my mission got bigger, because I realized it wasn't just the dope dealers. It was people that was working 9 to 5s every day that still didn't see a way out. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna teach them too. All right, let me just start educating my people. Let me start educating this class of people. You know what I'm saying? Because now if we can get this information, now we can start saying, wealth is possible.
Right. And when was the first big win, I guess legitimate win? Was it like, okay, I invested in a stock and I saw like a 5 to 10x? Was it
So
you
I remember,
teaching and getting paid for your service and you know, educating people and getting paid for that? Was it?
So for me, the first, I'll never forget this. A friend of mine was in a jam. And at this time, I had been teaching him since 2014, so it was maybe like 2016, 2017. And one of his spots got kicked in. He had no more money. He was like, bro, I don't got no money, I don't got nothing. I said, man, sell the stocks. Sell the stocks. And at this time...
So he had invested in stocks a couple years prior.
They had been, I always been a leader.
Are they setting up like a TD Ameritrade account or whatever?
I'm literally walking my homies through the process.
Yeah.
Like I'm walking them through look, we gotta get a bank account.
Yeah, and then put the money,
You gotta
legitimate
put the money in the bank
bank
account, right? Like put the money in the bank account, right? And I remember he was like, man, I need lawyer money. Because I had told him, you put the money in the market, just forget about it.
Just let it go. That money's gone.
Just let it go. It's gonna keep making you money. It's gonna your money now becomes your employees. You know what I'm saying?
Dollars multiplying. It's working for you.
It's working for you. A dollar that ain't moving is a dollar that's losing.
Yeah.
So if a dollar that's consistently attracting more money, that's your employee. You sending them out there to go get more money. They're recruiters for you. And I said something like, think about the dope game. Like, if you know this company got some good dope, then you know this company gonna be around for a long time. And so I remember he sold like $8,000 worth of stock. And it helped him from going to prison.
Because he was able to hire a lawyer.
And get a lawyer. And he ain't hustled since then.
Wow.
And so the moments for me don't be about myself. It be moments like that where I know somebody can say, because of this, like, this helped my life. This impacted my life. This changed my life. This made me see my money different. This made me feel like this was possible. Like, that's the power of financial literacy. That's the power of saying, now I got the right information. Like, information would change our whole life. And so that was it. Now, for me, it was saying, like, first it was like, I got $1,000 invested. I got $10,000 invested. I got $15,000 invested. And so for me, I started using the market also as like a savings account. Yeah. Because I know that my money wasn't making no money in a savings account. So I started buying like index funds. Yep. It's like, all right, I'll just buy the index funds and I treat them like that'll be my savings account, and then I'll do individual stocks for my real investments. So if I can get 8 to 10% on an index fund, that's better than 0.101 cent in a savings account. All right, cool. That's my savings account then. And it's a mind game with me. If I got the money in the index fund and I'm using the index fund as a savings account, As long as I see the money working for me, I'm not gonna touch it.
Right.
In a savings account, what happens is I see the money,
I can take it out.
I can take it out easy.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's all of those little tricks and those little nuances that make us be like, why I ain't never learned this? And so you start to realize that the reason why the elitists can't teach financial literacy to certain people is because then they lose customers. A lot of wealthy people can't teach financial literacy to poor people because those are the biggest customers. Who else gonna be the consumers? The lion can never tell the zebra or the giraffe how to get away, or the gazelle how to get. What he gonna eat? If the lion tells the zebra or the gazelle how to get away, they're gonna tell everybody else. Now the lion no longer the king of the jungle or the king of the safari. It's a vegan.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Nothing against veganism, but it's why would I teach you how to be a financial predator? Financial predators need financial prey. So if you look at my community now, you see check cashing places. What does a check cashing place do? The check cashing, if I get $100, you got to get a check cashing place $150. That's taking away money from you, right? And the reason why check cashing places is going to always be prevalent in the hood because people have no relationship with money. So they said that the average person spends $1.25 for every $1 they make.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's horrible. So you have more people living above their means. You have more people like saying, I gotta get this, I gotta get that. And one thing I've learned, like even about wealthy people, what I love is that there's never I have to have this. It's about assets first, saving second, spend what's left.
Right.
In the hood, it's the other way around. It's spend first, bills. If I save, if I have enough to save, then I might save until I find something else I want to buy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's always like, for me, and where I'm at now on my journey is, how do I now make financial literacy prevalent in everybody that comes from the class where I come from? Because I know some poor-ass white people too.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Poor white
you
people.
feel me?
Yeah.
So it's like, how do I now teach them the importance of financial literacy? And so now we feel like we can have leverage in the game. Because now, you know, you tell some, like, I get pride of somebody saying, man, I bought my first stock. That's the power of owning that first stock is a game changer.
Yeah.
Because you telling people who ain't never owned nothing a day in their life. So my motto is always helping the culture build wealth one share at a time.
One share at a time, yeah.
One share at a time.
Instead of being consuming everything, start owning something. Even if it's one stock, one index fund, you know, a piece of real estate from a real estate investment. You don't have to buy a whole house.
Nope.
You know, you can buy $20 share of stock.
That's
you
it.
know, and then
That's
let
it.
that work for you.
Let it work. And then over time, what I know about human nature is progress breeds like addiction.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you start seeing something, you're like, what?
We get more of this.
I want more of that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you go to the gym, you see one little muscle,
Yeah, I
I'm
want
going
more.
back.
It's funny. I saw, you know, I get dividends every month from a real estate that I'm involved in, right?
Okay.
So I get this morning, right before you came in, I just opened up my email and there was 3 notifications of different payments from 3 different real estate properties I'm invested in.
Yeah.
That I invested in a few years ago, right? And every month I get a check from money that I invested in years ago. That money's not sitting in the bank just like depreciating in value with inflation. I'm not blowing it on some car or something. I got a car, it's great.
Right.
I don't need more clothes.
Right.
I'm putting it into things that can bring me passive income to then pay my bills.
Yes.
And then the extra cash that I have, I put it into more assets
Yes.
to help me pay my bills, hire more people on my team, and help serve my mission. And I think that's, you know, and I see that, I'm like, man, I wish I would have put more in.
Yes.
You know, you always think,
That's always it.
I should have bought more of that stock. I should have bought more of that real estate. And you can always get started now putting more in.
Yes.
What should be people thinking about when it comes to investing then? How do they know what to invest in and to not, because you can invest in something and lose all your money.
Yes.
So what approach do you give to people there?
So I always say the first thing is, and I say this and I want people to understand this, invest in what you understand.
So if you wear Nikes.
Yeah, you should be looking at apparel brands, right? Nike, Lululemon, because you understand that, right? If you a workout person, then you should be looking at like Planet Fitness, things like that. Like if you are a tech person, if you use an Apple phone, you should 100% be on looking at Apple, right? If you're a car person, like, but one of the things I like now is fintech, financial technology. So everybody uses PayPal or Square, right? That is the way money is changing. The way we using money is completely different now. So I think everybody should be investing in fintech right now, 100%. But I look at it as, so every investor has what's called an investor identity. Like what you're willing to risk, your risk tolerance, what companies you're more familiar with. If you're a doctor, then you know more about medicine. So you should be in biotech or pharmaceuticals, healthcare. That should be your thing. If you are, again, a person who's in software, then cybersecurity, software, that's where you're going to be strong at. And that's where your strong points are. I remember Warren Buffett said for a long time, he didn't understand technology. So he didn't buy technology. He didn't buy Apple stock until like 2017. He's like, I don't understand it. I don't even have a computer.
I don't use it. Yeah.
I don't even use it, right? So I learned that from him. He says, I put things in a too hard box. If it's too hard for me to understand, I don't do it. And what I love about investing is it's not an IQ sport. It's not about who has the biggest IQ at all, because it's more so about how do I stay in my circle of competence and what I understand, because that's what gives me the advantage. Whatever I like for me, it's banks. Like I love banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, love it. Fintech, love it. Still dealing with, like I love money. I'm a hustler. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I love that. So that's why I'm like heavy at.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not a biopharmaceutical person.
Right.
So I stay away from that.
Yeah.
How do I stay away from it? Right.
Yeah.
So the easiest thing is like wherever you work at, like look around. Wherever you shop at, look around. Every time I buy a product, I'm looking at who made it. So I can go look that up, see if it's a public company, if it's a private company, right? If it's public, that means we can all invest into it. If I can invest into it, I want a piece of it. You know what I'm saying? Just to keep it simple. We don't even have to make it hard, right? You don't have to be Warren Buffett out the gate. Right? You don't have to be that. Like Warren Buffett didn't become Warren Buffett until 20 years, 30 years in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to figure out who you are as a person, who you are as an investor, that take you to that next level.
Do you have a strategy where every month you're automatically putting money away into investments, or when you get a chunk of money, then you're putting a certain percent into it? What's your mindset around investing in terms of how often you do it, how frequently you're putting it in?
So every time I get money, at least 50% of it goes to investment.
Really?
Yeah. I'm heavy with it. I could do a lot with less.
Yeah.
Like I don't live my life like that. I literally, and I will say this on camera, I only have like $10,000 sitting in the bank. My life, if something happens to me, my life is not set up in a way where I need a lot of money on hand.
You could always sell stock and get money.
You know, so for me, it's, I do three things every time I get some money. I invest for my daughter first, and then I invest for myself. And then I see what else got to be paid. Right? So even with investing for myself, when I'm putting money in the market, I'm sometimes just putting it in my account so it's available for me to use.
The right time.
When the time permits, right? So every week I'm putting money in, okay, let me put this money in my account. Then I have separate accounts because I got portfolios that are designed to do different things for me, right? So I have a dividend portfolio, whereas everything in that portfolio is about me having businesses that pay dividends. So I got Costco, T. Rowe Price, Home Depot, O Realty, companies like that is just designed for me to get dividends.
Yeah.
So
even if it's only $20, $30 a month, it's something,
man,
right?
That's it. And so I look at it as, okay, this will be passive income. I'm 39. I won't need this until I'm 59, 60, right?
It keeps reinvesting in itself.
So I reinvest them.
Yeah.
And so now they buying me more shares of themselves. All right, cool. And then one portfolio I use for growth stock. So all right, this is where my Apple's at, and my fintech companies, my PayPal's and Affirms and things like that. Because now I'm gonna get a lot of growth. That's why I'm taking more risk right here. Right. And then there's an option portfolio I have where I trade at. So now I got 3 portfolios set up to do 3 different things when they have 3 different agendas. And I got a Roth IRA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's tax, for tax advantages. So That's financial literacy.
And
right?
life insurance, whole life insurance.
Yeah, got whole life insurance, right? So just understanding how the wealthy play the game. I just bought 40 acres of land, right? I said, I'm gonna create agriculture. Why? Because agriculture gets more breaks than anybody. You know what I'm saying? About 40 acres of land, free and clear. It's mine. I'm gonna turn it into a farm, right? Grow organic food, organic vegetables. I got water well on it.
Wow.
Right?
That's cool.
Like, all right, cool, let's do that. Tax advantages for this. Anything comes off that land, I get breaks on that. So it's me sitting back saying, this is how the wealthy play the game of life. Not in survival mode, but in offense. The moment you can switch from survival mode to offense, the game changes. The more aggressive team in the game, the more aggressive boxer in the game, the more aggressive, like that's when the game is played. Again, class of people are used to life dictating them. I'm gonna take the punches how they come.
Right.
How you doing, man? You know I'm making it.
Yeah.
The responses be different. Man, what's up? How you feeling, man? Man, I'm making it, man. Well, you ask somebody, well, what's up, man? Just closed out on a deal.
Yeah.
You know, got a couple business meetings. Like, I love attacking life. And it don't always have to be going the way you want. As long as you attacking it. Every day I get up saying, yo, I got an opportunity to go attack. Right? I got an opportunity to change something. To make sure, turn my last name into an asset. Right? Turn my last name into an asset.
That's cool.
Like, own my 24 hours. That's the goal. Like, the person who can own their 24 hours can create freedom.
Right.
That's the difference between financial freedom and then financial independence.
What's the difference?
So financial independence is saying, I now can make money for myself. I don't got to worry about my job. I don't got to worry about none of that. I can create the cash flow that comes into my house. Financial freedom says money is no longer even an issue. Big difference. Because even someone who can create money for themselves still doesn't have freedom all the time.
Right.
You can be an entrepreneur and be a slave to the business.
You build yourself a job.
You build yourself a job,
Yeah.
right? But financial freedom says your money is not even an issue no more.
Right.
And that don't even have to be a lot.
Right.
Whatever you...
That's why I feel like some people have this fantasy of entrepreneurship as like this ideal lifestyle. Where I don't think people understand the weight of being an entrepreneur and how long it actually takes. I mean, you hear great stories of people that are like, oh, I built this thing and then sold it for $1 billion. That usually took 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And so many punches in the face and the gut and ups and downs. But most businesses fail after a few years. And the ones that succeed, a lot of the entrepreneurs are just working really hard to pay themselves a salary and take more responsibility, weight, and pressure, taxes, insurance, all these things they got to pay until they learn to break through.
Yep.
And so it's not like the sexiest thing.
No.
It takes time and energy and a real...
Persistence. I remember that, like, just before the show, I asked you, I said, outside of consistency,
Yeah.
like, what was one of the things? And you was like, man, now. And I was like, this 9 years.
Yeah.
Like, most people quit year 1, year 2. Like, nope, it's too much for me. I can't deal with it. It's pressure, right? But there's this thing about getting up. And let me say that I don't think there's nothing wrong with anybody working a job. Because I don't think entrepreneurship is for everybody.
I don't think it is, man.
Right? But I do know that building wealth is for everybody.
Absolutely. And you can take your money you're making from your job and invest it so it's working for you.
It should be your biggest investment.
And that's what you were doing.
That's what I did. But I feel too that, like, I think that everybody should at least once in their life go all in on something. Something that you just believe in. That's living to me. Because for me, I always, like, I don't need motivation. Because when I look at my life, my motivation is saying I'll never go back to that again.
Right.
My motivation is saying that I have a daughter that I never want her to experience that life, right? So getting up every day knowing that I can change my family, knowing that we are now in a time where we've never had the opportunity like we have now. And if I don't take advantage of that opportunity, when it's time for me to go, I'm gonna feel real messed up about that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because it's a difference between never getting the opportunity and getting the opportunity and never taking advantage
Absolutely,
of it.
man. Absolutely. How has mental health played into your life with the journey of learning how to heal so much trauma, pain, memories, experiences, not only as a kid, not only as in prison, but 6, 7 years ago when you were still doing a lot of things that were, against the law and out of integrity. And how do you learn to emotionally heal so much?
I'm still healing.
Yeah.
I just told you I gotta get your book, man.
I know, man. I know.
When you told me, I gotta get that. I'm still healing. Man, it's crazy because I just had a moment last night. I was talking to my mother, and we got an okay relationship because she still got a lot of trauma and pain that she deal with. And it's hard for me to attempt to heal, run a business, and be aware that she has healing to do. Right? Like, that'd be a lot. So, just last night, I was like, I can't take this, man. I can't do this. I can't do all this. You know what I'm saying? It's because I was trying to deal with her situation emotionally and rationalize the logic, then deal with, okay, I gotta do this, I'm trying to do this. And it was just a lot. And I had to step back. And me and my daughter's mother have a great relationship. And I told her, man, healing it. This was my exact word last night. I said, man, healing is a lifelong process. I said, man, this stuff takes forever. She's like, what, you thought she was gonna heal overnight?
Your daughter said this?
No, my daughter's mother.
Oh, I was gonna say, man, your daughter wise.
Nah, my daughter's mother. I said, man, healing is a lifelong process. She said, what, you thought you was gonna heal overnight? And it's understanding emotionally. So there's 3 phases in my life. Well, more than 3, but you gotta realize there was me before prison, just seeing, viewing, observing, seeing the violence. Like, I not only saw my mom get shot, but I also overdose, right? So rationalizing that. Me being homeless for a couple years of my life at a young age. Then me going to prison, adapting to a completely different lifestyle. Then coming home as a grown man, nobody's gonna give you handouts. So now I have to realize who I am as a free man, a free grown man.
Right.
Then in that process of learning who I am, I'm fighting cases again. Right? And then we go to, okay, well, this is not it. I'm just gonna, get into robbery. Because the only leverage I feel like I have in life at these points is leveraging my life. Right? The only leverage, the only fighting thing, I don't know at the moment how to leverage information and knowledge. The only thing that I knew that I had was my life.
Right.
So, okay, freedom of prison. I mean, prison or debt, it's the only thing I can. So it's now breaking away from that. And now being a leader, being an influential person in my communities, around the people, now accepting that. Because no one teaches you how to be a leader. No one teaches you how to do it. You got to learn that on the fly.
It's hard.
You got to learn, okay, I can't say this, I can't say that, and then social media is something different. And so I'm learning that.
Yeah.
I'm still learning how to heal. I'm still praying more. I gotta, just was talking about, like, we gotta get back with the therapist, right? And just so I can brain dump.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got into journaling, like getting these thoughts out of my head, listening to stuff like Atomic Habits and, just stuff like that. So I'm still healing. And I know it's gonna be a lifelong process because you gotta remember, I done been shot before, I done been shot at, I done did some shooting. And honestly, if you shoot somebody, you deal with that all your life.
What does that feel like?
Man, I still have nightmares about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, in the moment, you feel like I did the right thing.
Justified.
You justify it, right? You feel like, man, it had to be done. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think maybe the difference in a lion when he eats a gazelle is it's on to the next one, right? But human nature comes in.
You got to live with the consequence.
Yeah, like, I almost killed that man. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you deal with that and it never goes away. You know what I'm saying? Like, it never goes away. And part of you you know, I'll have, like right now, like I don't even be wanting to be around guns.
Right.
You know, I'll be like, man, I'm good, man. Like I don't want to go to the gun range, right? Like,
It's not worth it.
nah, it bring me back to a place of my life where I was. And I feel like the only way for me to move forward is sometimes you gotta like disattach yourself from certain environments, certain things. So I be like, nah, man. I honestly don't even like listening to music that has that talk a lot of gangster talk. Cause one, I lived it and it brings in a different emotion in me. I like, nah, I don't, if I'm gonna be here, I don't wanna get into that emotion. And I know with music, most people are telling their story. I don't wanna relive that story.
Right.
That's part of my healing.
Trying to create a new story.
Yeah, so that's part of my healing. So I'm always healing, man.
What do you think would be the 3 big things you need to take on or let go of in order to get to a completely different level in your life 1 year from today? So when I see you in a year in Atlanta or in LA, and you're like, I did these 3 things, or I let go of these 3 things, and it took me to another level of financial abundance, and another level of emotional freedom and healing, what would those things be?
3 things that I would let go.
Or take on.
One is more mentoring.
Mentoring more people.
No, me getting
You
mentored.
getting more mentorship,
Yeah, because I think that I think everyone should have a mentor. Because we should always be learning.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't always have to be with finances. It can just be with life experiences. So I think one of the things for me is like finding I had a mentor. Now I think I outgrew him a little bit, so I'm ready to get another one. So one is mentoring that I would love to take on. 2 is truly cleaning up the way I eat. Because you are 100% a reflection of what you eat.
Absolutely.
Right? So I already don't drink, I don't smoke, but my eating habit is not the best.
Yeah.
And the third one would be actually just sitting still. Like I move around so much in the process of doing this and doing this. I think one of the things that's important for us is to sit still. I pray a lot already. And I think when you sit still, you can get clarity and you can get instructions. Right? I think we move around so much, we don't get the instructions. I think everybody here has an assignment. Right? Everybody here has an assignment. If you move around so much, you can never hear the assignment. People always say, follow your passion, follow your passion. I think it should be follow your purpose. Because the assignment is attached to your purpose. And it's not to get real spiritual or crazy on people, but I just feel like the only way you get that assignment is you sit down and talk to the person who gave it to you.
Right. Your creator.
That's it.
Yeah.
You sit down and talk to the person who gave it to you. And the only way you can do that, the only way they can talk to you, whoever it is when you're sitting still. So for me, it would be getting like more mentors. I want to have a mentor at all times because it reverts back to where I came from. It was OGs that taught you a lot of stuff and they only could teach you what they knew. So you became a reflection of that. And then if you didn't have an OG to tell you something, you freestyled it.
Yeah.
And the freestyling cost you a lot. A lot of mistakes, a lot of hard times, a lot of money. And some people who freestyled it cost them their life. So for me, I take on those same principles and said, okay, like not only am I a leader, not only am I influential, but my goal is to be a person who can change or be a vessel for change. And because it's all new to me, I need somebody who's already took on that journey.
Yeah. I'm always talking about investing in coaches and mentors.
I love that, man.
And I have a coach in pretty much every area of my life.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard to think we can do something on our own if we've never done it before.
If you've never done it before.
It's hard to think that we can do it consistently when things get challenging and hard without some type of emotional support from a friend, an accountability buddy, a coach, a mentor, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. I'm a big fan of investing in it, so you're accountable to that time with that mentor, or finding some skin in the game with a coach or mentor. And if you don't have the money right away, then you could find mentors without investing that, but finding other ways to add value. And I think that's such a massive part of my growth and my success is being around the right people.
Yeah, like it changes. Like I understood at first. So I'm an only child. So a lot of me is always, man, I got this. I could do this. I don't need nobody to teach me that. I can do this. Like it be hard. But as you start to put that ego to the side and say, nah, like I can learn something from that person. This person can teach me something. Let me humble myself to learn this lesson. Because if I learn this lesson from them, that's less heartache and pain I gotta go through. And learning from that person speeds up my process.
Absolutely. There's so many things I learned from my 3 older siblings that I didn't repeat, And I mentioned before, my brother went to prison when I was 8. I went to the prison with my family almost every weekend to visit in the visiting hour, the visiting room. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I want to make sure that I don't go down this path. I started doing things when I was 11 to like 12 and a half, 13, where I started doing petty stuff. I was stealing like candy bars and cigarettes, like whatever. It was just like as a high. And I did it almost every day for probably a year and a half. I had to steal something. And it's crazy to think, but I remember getting caught once. And I got caught by my dad. I didn't even get caught by a store, right? And I remember getting caught and feeling like, and I was kind of hanging out with the wrong group, just doing things that I wasn't really proud of myself, little stupid stuff. I remember thinking like, if I keep doing this, here's where it could go. Maybe it doesn't happen the next year or two, but 3, 4, 5 years, if I keep doing these same actions, I'm gonna get more of these results. I'm gonna feel bad about myself. I'm gonna get caught. I'm gonna hurt other people along the way. And who knows what consequences could come from that. So I remember in that moment, I was like, I'm never stealing or doing anything like this ever again. Like, I need to change my environment. I need to change my mindset around this. And I like begged my parents to send me away to a school around kids that a private school they sent me to, a private boarding school. Begged them to send me to this place to get me out of the environment. What you're talking about with your daughter, like sending her to a class of an environment that speaks differently, that has a different, mindset.
Everything.
Behaviors, all that stuff.
It's important. Even like that environment is so crucial. Like even just being around, so like for me, being around people that understand the importance of investing. Not only just
not just spending their money, but investing in it.
Investing the money, investing in their personal development, investing in their business, investing in teaching them how to run businesses, like being around them made me be like, damn, I gotta invest in myself too. Right? Like, and it's something we take for granted. And being around people who understand that a certain amount of money isn't what you may see, though, that's a lot of money. Somebody like, I may spend that on investing in myself, or I may spend it on buying assets. Like, understanding that people who build businesses are different. Like, damn, like you built that business? Like, okay. Those conversations change your life. It's environment. If I'm in the hood, if I'm in my community and I'm telling people about investing and doing this and all they want to do is party and drink, then no matter how positive I am, at some point I'm gonna say, man, this ain't working, man. Let's go party and drink. Right? All right, cool. If you're around people that they complaining about their bills and their bosses and they working every day, then that's not an environment that's conducive to you being successful. That's not an environment that's conducive to change. It's only so long that you can flirt with the other side of what you want that you become that. And like, if you want to be healthy, if you want to work out, it's only so long you can chill with people that won't go to all you eat buffets all the time, or you can be like, you know what, I might well eat this too.
You got to change your identity in the process too.
Evolution.
Yeah, you got to change the identity and say, I don't do these things. That's not part of my identity.
That's it.
Yeah.
Hey, I read this book. I can't think of what it was, and it said there were two people that were attempting to quit smoking cigarettes. One person said, when offered a cigarette, they said, yo, I'm trying to quit smoking. I'm good. And the other person said, no, I don't smoke anymore. The person who said, I don't smoke anymore, immediately changed their identity.
Yeah.
The person that said, I'm trying to quit smoking, still associated themselves with smoking. So it's only a matter of time before they say, well, let me hit the cigarette one time.
I'm trying to, but
Because I'm trying to, but it's not. And so that is important.
When you decide, this is not what I do anymore, it's not my
Decision.
identity, then you just have to keep saying that every time it tries to come up. No, it's not my identity. I'm not doing that anymore.
It's part of who you are. You change that, you evolve, and the evolution in who you are should be ongoing. Because who I am today, I won't be that person in 90 days or 6 months. Some aspects of me have changed. You're going to change, and I want that. I've never let people, especially on this part of my journey, hold me to one layer of who I once was. Man, you used to do this. I know I used to because I wasn't this person. I'm not that no more. I can't be that no more. I have way more to lose now than to even be that or attempt to be that.
Yeah.
I'm not that. Right? And so that's what I look at me now and see the change. I look at me now and say, like, I appreciate where I'm at now. But more importantly, I appreciate like where I'm going. I appreciate the people I'm around right now. I remember I was talking to a close friend of mine, and he didn't get into nothing. Something had happened. I was like, bro, if you need me, you know I'm here. And he said, I would never put you in that situation. I love you too much to bring you there. That I wouldn't love you as a friend if I did that. That showed me like, all right, I'm around the right people. I'm around because I come from an era of people where the only way you prove loyalty is through, I'm willing to die for you, I'm willing to go to jail for you,
it's crazy,
I'm willing to do this for you, I'm willing to risk my life for you, I'm willing to leave my family to show you I'm loyal to you. Right? I'm willing to, go to prison to show you I'm willing to hold this block down and show this block that I'm loyal. I'm willing to leave my same family who I say I'm protecting and providing for. I'm willing to leave them to, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's that change in me. Now it's like, what? I don't care about that. That's the change I want to represent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the, like, you really want to take care of your family? Are you willing to go to jail?
Right. That's not taking care of your family.
Because the same people who you are defending them from, you've now left them too.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Meeting them in prison.
Yeah. So like, are you really? So for me, it's teaching of financial literacy, but most so the evolution, the mindset shift. Because they can look at me and say, man, I know Trap was in them streets because he talked it the way I talk it. He has the intricate details that only somebody in the streets know. If he could do that, man, I know I could do it. And then I come like, yo, it ain't easy.
Right.
It ain't easy, but if you want it, and then now, we've heard a million times, like, what is the why? What is the purpose? For me, it's so much bigger than myself. I feel like your purpose has nothing to do with you. Like, you got this school of greatness. School of greatness is not about you. It's about how many people you going to impact with this. Like, you 9 years in.
Right.
If it was about you, you wouldn't have made it 9 years.
Retired, man.
You would have got tired.
Yeah.
Personally, you would have gotten burnt out. I don't want to do this no more. But every time you turn them cameras on, that conversation you have is going to change somebody's life. That's what keep you going. Every time I cut on something, I go do an interview, I talk, I get on Instagram, I know I'm going to change somebody's life.
No, that's great.
I'm going to tap into something just a little bit different. And if I can do that, that's one person I kept out of prison. That's one person that I made them look at death a little bit different. That's one family I made say, you know what, I won't be here for my little one, so let me do something different.
Right.
That's bigger than me, man.
That's powerful, man.
That's bigger than me, man.
That's powerful. What, when did you, are you still doing welding?
Nah, man, I haven't.
Or when was the last time you did that?
So I walked away from my job in 2019, man.
Yeah. Is that because you got enough saved up and invested? Is that because you were doing other things? What?
So 2019, I was building a power plant in Lake Charles, Louisiana. It was the Sasol Chemical Project, one of the biggest projects in the Southeast region now. I walked away from the job to be an educator.
To be an educator?
Yeah.
To teach?
To teach. I walked away and I said, Well, they wanted me to shave my beard.
Yeah, you're like, nah, I'm not doing
I
that.
was like, I'm not doing that. I had this thing since 2002, man. I'm not doing that, man. And it was like, what you mean you're not gonna shave your beard? I'm like, man, it ain't worth it. And I remember, that's why I say I think everybody should have one thing they go all in on. So I looked at my account and said, all right, we got money invested. We're pretty good. Let me just focus on it, and let me focus on teaching people. And I said, I quit. I walked away from it. And I said,
you had enough saved and invested into the last, what, a year, 2 years maybe?
I don't know, probably 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah, probably 6 months.
Bills
Depending
and
on how I
expensive,
lived, yeah, depending on what I did. I remember calling my daughter's mom, like, look, I'm about to quit this job.
Wow.
So instead of me sending you $500-$600 a week, let me just pay for her nursery, because my daughter was like maybe 4 at the time.
Yeah.
3, something like that. I was like, let me just pay for nursery until I figure this out. I said, I ain't going back to the streets, and I ain't going back to that job. I said, I'm all in on me. I'm gonna create change. I believe in it. I know this could change the hood. She was like, you believe in it, I believe in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so 2019, I quit my job. That was my last time. And I've been building this from the trap to Wall Street. I've been building a Wallstreet Trapper brand ever since. Came with a lot of ups and downs, but I never turned my back on it, right? And I realized, I knew that it was gonna change my life while changing a lot of people's life. And I was cool with that. I bet on it.
Right.
I bet on it, and I ain't never prayed as much in my life as I did.
What's the biggest myths around money that you've learned about since then, since kind of going all in on a business and your own thing?
One of the biggest things I always say is that I've never met a person working 2 or 3 jobs that actually was doing better, because all you did was sell more time.
Sleep less, stress more. Yeah.
Like that, I think that is one of the biggest myths, is saying I gotta work harder. I don't think getting where you want to go at in life is not about actually working harder.
Right. And I get it. I mean, if you're already in debt, you got bills, you got kids, you got responsibilities, you got these things, because you've been choosing those behaviors consistently for years, you've gotten yourself into a hole that is probably harder to get out of.
Yep.
So how do you switch that mentality of like, I hear what you're saying, Trap. It's not about working that extra 2 jobs, but I got all these bills, I got these, I got kids, I got this, I got that, I got my rent, food. I'm already taking government subsidies. I'm doing these things. What's the next move?
the next move?
To start getting me out of working harder and working smarter?
So I think now what happens is we now have to start saying, okay, I always say that we can, the problem is hard to identify. It's the lie that's hard for us to see. And it's saying that, all right, I don't have the money right now. That's the problem. Why don't you have the money? It's the lie. I don't make enough. No, well, you got bad money habits.
Right. You're making bad decisions.
You're making bad
consuming.
decisions. And they compounding.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, and just to get to that question, is saying, okay, so now let's lay out an outline. I think one of the things we fail to do is plan. Like, what is the strategy to get us out of this situation? And if we in a bad situation, sacrifices got to be made. Right? So, okay, cool. How do we get out of this situation? All right, cool. So maybe you do take on another way. Maybe you do take on another job, right? Okay, that's cool. How long are we taking on that job? And are we using this other job specifically for paying off debt or getting me out of this hole? Because the objective is not to work the 2 jobs, right? Or I would say the world we in right now, that smartphone is so amazing, so powerful. So find a way to create some passive income from that thing. Like it's limitless.
Yeah.
Right? Like the situation that most people are in, they didn't get in it overnight. So the goal shouldn't be, how do I get out of it overnight?
It should be a plan over time.
It should be a plan over time. This is the reason why people who scam will always have a job, is because it's always easy to sell somebody in a desperate situation how to get rich quick. It's always easy to sell somebody on how to get rich quick when you're in a desperate situation. The worst place you want to be at in life is desperate. It's the worst place you want to be at.
Right.
It's desperate because you're willing to actually put yourself in the worst situation to try to get better. Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, it only gets worse. So for me, it's saying like, let's really take it back. And that's one of the things I love about the stock market is I've learned how to run my life like a business. Not my business, like my life is ran like a business. Like I understand, okay, this how much came in this month, this how much money I'm spending. Not in my business, in my life. This is how much my bills cost. Right. This is how much food intake costs, right? This is how much I'm giving myself for, miscellaneous things. Because I think some people feel like, I don't got to spend no money on, no, let's be realistic. You're gonna spend some money, right? That's gonna happen. But let's not be abusive with it because money is the tool. Yeah. Money is a tool, not a goal. Money is a tool, not a goal. If we use the tool for what it's for, it leverages our life.
Right. What's it for?
It's for to give you leverage. It's for to build wealth. It's for to buy back time. It's for to give you access. It's for to give you opportunity. I always say that I use my money for 3 things: access, information, and assets. That's the triangle, man. That's the Phil Jackson triangle, man. Yeah. Information, access, and access. And why? Is because the information and the access allows you to become the asset.
You become the asset.
You become the
Not
asset.
investing in assets?
Well, both. So investing in assets, but the biggest asset
you
is
are the most valuable asset.
You're the most
your
valuable
wisdom,
asset.
your knowledge, your experience,
asset.
Your last name, your credibility, your relationships.
Biggest asset. No one can never take that away from you.
Yeah.
So you use the money to put you in a situation to get information and buy access. You can do those 2 things, you become the asset. I sit down and talk to Lou, I sit down and talk to you every day, bro. We build a relationship. Right. I know who you know now. Right? You be like, you know what, man, I know somebody you should talk to. You should talk to my guy, the Wallstreet Trapper, man. Right. Perfect person for you. Right. I wouldn't have got that without building that rapport. I got access. What's up, Lou? How you feeling, man? Christmas, man. Let's send him something, man. Let him know it's all love, man. Let him know Trap think about it, man. How you doing, man? You good? Good. Cool. Man, I like Trap. Cool. I built something here. You got a party? Man, I got a Christmas party. Trap. You should come to LA. Cool. Now the information that I can provide is valuable when I get in the room that I got access to. I'm an asset. I'm an asset to you now. Trap knows about investing. Trap may know something I don't know. I mean, now we swapping value. So people need to learn how not to go in a situation and say, how much money can I make? How can I provide value to you? Yeah. I do that all the time. Man, how can I be of value to you, man? Right. Like, you know what I do. What can I do to help you out? Right? Like, how can I be of assistance? How can I take some of the sweat equity off you? How can I make your situation a little bit better, all based off what I know? I become the asset. If we can become assets in every situation we in, that's playing offense. That's playing. I'm all about full court pressure. Right. All about leveraging this thing called life, man, because there's people out here making hundreds of millions of dollars. They didn't do that on their own. No. There's people out here living a life they could never imagine. They didn't do that on their own. They knew somebody at some point that plugged them with somebody, that put them in a room, that put them on a phone call, that helped them get that role, that gave them information that changed their life. That's how you get there. Yeah.
And you know how you get in the room when it happens?
Talk about it.
You get there by adding value to people in the room that want you to be in that room because you've offered value in some way. The value doesn't need to be you're the smartest, most talented person ever. The value could be, I just feel good around this person.
Feel good around it.
This person's got a positive energy,
yeah,
good attitude. Like, man, let's just bring them along. They make me feel better.
Yeah.
That's value.
That's value.
It could be he's got a skill set. He's got some years of experience in an industry that I want to learn about. Let's bring him in the room. And I think when you can bring that value, when you can learn a new skill and have that some type of value, bring it to someone who doesn't have it.
Oh yeah.
They're going to give you access.
Hell yeah.
That access is going to give you opportunities.
Every time.
You've got to be willing to move into those.
Every time. And that's why I said in the beginning, when he told me, stop trading time for money and start making money work for you, that was like, damn, all right. But when he said bring value to people,
that's it.
I didn't learn that part till later on. That's why I said I didn't get that till later. Like, oh, that's what this means.
Yeah.
Like, not going into a situation, man, I wonder what I can get out of this. Nah. What can I bring value to this?
That's 100%. That's why I always, when I'm doing my show, I'm always thinking, how can I serve the person? How can I give them a platform? How can I tell their story in a better way? How can I help promote whatever they have going on? And I don't ask for anything in return. Not until I really have something where I'm like, okay, I've got a book out. Is there something we can do together?
Yeah.
But usually my goal is like, how can I add 10 times the amount of value to someone up front? To when then it's a no-brainer to want to add
on the back end.
A little bit to me. Like, I don't even need 10 times back. It's just like, just to say, of course, like you've given me so much value. Why would I not promote this? Why would I not make an intro? You've built so much credibility with the person by adding value that they appreciate it. And if a person doesn't appreciate it and they're only a taker, then maybe that's not the right person you want to be in relationship with. And not everyone's going to be able to pay you back something all the time, but it should be come back to you in some way. The more you add value to people in general, it's going to come back.
It's reciprocated. It had, like, I feel like, so we all are cups. And if I'm always pouring, I want to make sure that I'm pouring into people that at some point they can pour back into me. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm always pouring, then I'm going to be like insufficient. Right? And so I'm going to burn out. I'm going to be depleted. And then I can't finish my journey. So even in bringing value, you also need to be around people that see value in what you do or what you bring to them. Because now it's easy to be like, nah, man, trap, boom. Like, that helps. And then also, too, just understanding how, like, I take my time to, one of the things prison taught me was understanding people. Like, everybody operates in their own unique way. I never expect people, this is one of the biggest mistakes that people have, expecting someone to handle a situation the way that they would.
I've learned that the hard way many times.
Many times. You are you. So for me, it's always, what is that person's perspective? That's why they handled that like that. It's okay. And appreciate it.
Don't take it personally.
I
did that for too long. I did that for too long, man. Too many nights being frustrated, taking something personally.
I'm like, nah, it's cool. Because that's their way of handling it.
Now you know, it's information. All
Data.
Right. Do I want to be in partnership with this person in the future?
That's it.
You know, what do I need to do next time?
That's it. And that has truly helped me on the journey. Like, learning from, like, I'm good at intaking information and using it, because I know that life is something that keeps on revolving. It's going to keep happening. Every day we know Jim Rohn, one of my favorite people, said, we know that the sun is going to come up, and then it's going to do what? It's going to go down. The ocean comes out, what happens? The shore comes back in. Life is going to keep doing that. So every situation that I've been presented with, it's only a matter of time before I'm presented with it again. May not be to the same extreme, to the same extent, but some familiarity to be about that situation.
We got to go through those lessons to create wisdom for the future, you know what I mean? You've got an amazing story, my man, and I'm excited about everything you're creating and everything you've overcome. I think it's easy to stay stuck in the past patterns that we're familiar with. It's easy to go back to familiarity. It's really hard to break the mold and create a new identity. So I acknowledge you for breaking the mold, man, for creating breakthroughs. Again, I don't think anyone would celebrate the things you did, but I acknowledge the growth, the wisdom, the lessons, and the journey you're on to be of service to people in certain communities and cultures that maybe struggle with finding these types of breakthroughs. So I really acknowledge the assignment that you're on right now and the journey you've been on, my man.
Man, I appreciate that, man.
You've got powerful social media accounts, Wallstreet Trapper. If you just Google that, you'll see it everywhere on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wallstreettrapper.com. With more resources, information, education on all this stuff for people. How else can we be of support to your mission, and where can we connect with you the best?
So right now I'm pushing, the Wallstreet Trapper on Instagram. I'm working on a show right now called Wealth Connect, man.
Wealth Connect.
The Wealth Connect.
Wealth Connect.
Yeah, the Wealth Connect. So probably dropping that first of the year. I just want to take financial literacy to another level for those, to be a voice for those who need it, who I resonate with, right? My goal is to make financial literacy a household thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's my goal. Like, I want to be the voice that says, this is not over my head. This is just my cup of tea right here.
Right.
Right, so working on a Wealth Connect. I'm definitely going to be dropping that soon. So, man, that's it right now. Just
awesome.
Pushing that. You know, I drop a lot of stuff on the YouTube, but that's my big project coming 2022, the Wealth Connect.
Wealth Connect. That'll be, you can just go to wallstreettrapper.com and you'll learn more about that.
Yeah, so I'm posting some stuff on it on the ground right now, but it's definitely on the trapperuniversity.com.
The trapperuniversity.com.
Yeah, everything Trapper, man. I don't deviate, man.
I like it, man. I like it. This is a question I ask everyone towards the end of the show. It's called the 3 truths. So imagine it's your last day on earth many years away from now, and you've lived out your assignment. You've accomplished your goals and dreams. You've created the financial freedom and helped others do that in situations that you grew up in and beyond. You know, you did everything you wanted to do. But for whatever reason, it's your last day.
Yeah.
And you only get to leave behind 3 lessons to the world that you've learned. And they don't have access to Trapper University or the Wealth Connect. That's all gone for whatever reason. It's on to the next place with you. But you have 3 lessons you get to share. I call it the 3 truths. What would be those 3 truths for you?
I like that. One is live your life with no regrets. That's twofold, because in living with no regrets, I will want you to say that in every moment I'm willing to live in it. I think we don't appreciate the moments as we should, right? So living with no regrets. 2, it is okay to say no. No is a complete sentence.
Yep.
Right? And 3, find your purpose.
What happens to us when we don't find our purpose?
We walk around lost.
Yeah.
We live an unfulfilled life. I get up every day because I know that I'm walking in my purpose. So I get up every day happy. I get up every day and I say, yo, I get to do something that everybody don't get to do. Even there's entrepreneurs who aren't in their purpose. They just have a business.
Right.
Maybe a successful business.
Right. Maybe they're making money, but it's not what they want.
They ain't fulfilled.
Right.
When you find your purpose, you find fulfillment. I'm fulfilled. I'm still healing. I'm still growing, but I'm fulfilled.
Yeah.
Because every day I know I get up and I get to change somebody's life. Every day. Teaching, educating, showing humility, letting people learn from my past, me learning. Like every day I get to walk in my purpose. And for that, I get to live a fulfilled life. And I've said this, I said, yo, I know I got a lot of more stuff to accomplish. But man, I know that if my day was to come, I know I can say, I finally got it. I found it. And the longer we're here, the more I feel that you'll get more assignments added to what you got going on. Like, here's another assignment. Here, it's like a teacher. Oh, you doing good? Here's another assignment.
Yeah.
Here's another assignment. Because they know, the creator knows you can handle it.
You can handle it. You can take it on.
You can take it on. The more when you walk into that purpose, man, your life changes. And I'm speaking this and I get emotional in a way because my life is unrecognizable from 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
Unrecognizable. Because every day I was walking around just in the dark, hurt, painful, abandoned. You know, all I knew was violence. I felt like I was empty. To transition to saying, I'm fulfilled, man, you can't match that with nothing.
That's good, man. That's good, man. Final question for you. What's your definition of greatness?
My definition of greatness is being impactful and living a life you're proud of. Doesn't have to do with money. Doesn't have to do with accolades. doesn't have to do with notoriety. Can I wake up every day and say I'm happy with this life? People don't really know what happiness is. And how many people have I impacted people before I left here? Impact don't have nothing to do with money either. So if I can be impactful and live a life that I can truly say I'm happy with, that's my definition of greatness.
They have imposter syndrome, right? Am I worthy of having this much money? I've experienced that myself at different times, right? Like, you've worked hard for it, but you think that you don't deserve it for some reason. And I think that I think society was sort of designed so that we wouldn't talk about money.
Why?
Because I think it's designed so that we have